morning, good morning. Up we go. Stuff everywhere. A drizzly, rainy day today. Drizzly, rainy day. So it's a chance to put the camera facing east. We've had so many beautiful days. Different bicycle today. Monday morning, is that a thing, Monday morning? People get drunk on Sunday night? I don't know. Good morning. Oops. Okay. The pencil for the flask height. Tom's got it. Eggs all around. This now slides under the flask. And I remembered 3 minutes ago. So this is now a pencil. It's sort of jimmied in there. I think it's okay. If I've screwed it up, the problem is, there's two hooks. They're hooked like this, up and down. And I put a pencil in that space. I lift this up and put a pencil in that space. But as you lift it up, it gets closer to falling off the edge. So we're within millimeters. If there's an earthquake today, maybe the first result will be water. Paper is out. Not only is it out, she's already printing. Suga-san is up there printing. She is doing a batch of, are we allowed to say this on the stream? She's doing a batch of owls. We are out yet again. We're out of owls. She's doing another 60, I think 60 or 70 she's got in there. Owls. Oh, so something I forgot. This. I have egg on my face. I forgot. Do you remember? It was in December. I don't remember. November, December. Back in a long time ago, I got an Yahoo auction with a batch of prints from an old workshop in Kyoto. The kind of prints that are sold in tourist places in Kyoto. And lots of them were doubled. There were extra copies. And at the day I opened them, I said, wow, there's so many extra copies here, we should, give some of these away, whatever. And then we all got enthusiastic about it, and I said, okay, let me put this together over the next few days, and then I absolutely forgot about it. So I went through them last night. I remembered last night. No, I hadn't remembered. Somebody had mentioned it in the chat. So on one of the chats in the last few streams, I saw this and remembered, Soka. So I went to the closet, got the things out, and last night I sorted them out. The ones we're going to keep, the ones we're going to go in our flea market into the shop. And there are 20 of them left over that I thought would be cool to pass out to people in our stream supporters. These are beautiful woodblock prints from about the 1960s, maybe 1970s, of scenes, Kyoto type tourist stuff. It's snow on temple roofs for the most part. Anyway, I still don't have it organized what to do, but at least now it's back up and running and it's on the thing. There are 20 prints for the Twitch giveaway. And what I'm going to do now is, after the stream is over, I am going to write to our 3 moderators, and they can already be thinking about this. I'm going to write to our 3 moderators asking them, okay guys, help me plan this. How can we get these 20 prints into the pockets of 20 of our Twitch supporters, Twitch viewers, Twitch whatever. So anyway, so for the moment, just to get you in line, this is now back up and running. I forgot about it. I'm very sorry. There are a lot of things sitting there to do upstairs on my desk. But it's now back and active. If you have any ideas, dump them into the stream. The mods, me and the 3 mods will sort this out and think about what to do here now that it's back active again. I've already told you, John, there is 20. I did say there was 20. So John's going to make up 19 names and whatever. Okay, the plan for today. We're carving the calligraphy. We're doing Mario Kart carving today. And there is a show and tell. And in fact, I can what's the word, tease? I can tease a bit about show and tell. We have today 21 original Hiroshige prints. Original Hiroshige prints. Not reproductions. This is unusual for me to get such things. I found them over in Ome when I was there last week. We have 21 original Hiroshige prints that were made sometime about the time of my first visit to Japan. It says chochu asobi. Chochu is whatever, roughly birds, beasts, whatever, animals, creatures. Asobi is at play. Asobi. Chochu asobi. Yeah, when I said Mario Kart, what we were talking about, just for the people who weren't here, when I carved the first part of this the other day, I pointed out a couple of things. That 2 of the characters are kanji, Chinese characters, and 3 are kana. And you can see, even if you can't read these things, you can see the concept. They're all made of brush strokes. You can see the brush moves in the same way. It always moves left to right, top to bottom. Down you go, top to bottom, left to right, left to right. But carving them, they're all quite so small. The kanji means it's a stop and go carving. I don't move my brush around corners here all the way down, of course not. So it's stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. No problem, that's the job. But when it comes to the hiragana calligraphy, you can see in the original, there was 1 brush stroke, 2 brush strokes, and the 3rd brush stroke actually started here and went down, sweeping down, 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 all the way to the bottom. So this whole thing is done with 1, 2, 3, 4 brush strokes. Now I can't replicate that with my knife. I'm not going to put my knife at the top of this thing and go ready, zoom, and I'm not going to make my knife go all the way around in a single. We can't do that. It's the 3-dimensional thing just doesn't work. But when I said Mario Kart, what I was getting at is simply, look at it, it's a racetrack. There's curves, we've got the sweep of the curve, the corners, the angles, all of which have to be really, really carefully replicated. And this is hugely entertaining and fun for a carver. But don't expect me to sit here and do this all in 1 stroke. Of course, that's not how this works. Tom, you know I can't possibly say yes to that. Not in any way whatsoever. And you knew that before you asked me. Come on, give me a break. We have a sharp knife. Let's do some of this. Actually, you ask what XX of carvers, some of the carvers did I like. I don't really have a good memory of this. I skimmed through that stream the other day, and it's been a very busy couple of days, so I'm sorry. I don't have a clear handle on that. I'm sorry right now. I don't have a clear handle. Has somebody dropped a Baron? Is there an icon here? What do you call it? Not an icon. What are they called? Is it a Baron that somebody's put here? Impact 93. Is that your symbol? A Baron mark? I can't see. Emote. Is there a Baron emote? I'm not in any way going to take charge of this. If we did the other day, or a couple of weeks back, when we were talking about the yokai, I had to come up with something and I had to decide on something. So I sort of stepped in there and used my executive powers within Mokohankan to put the name on our print set. The one about the yokai. I've already forgotten what it was. Calamity of yokai. But in this case, the one we're talking about here for carvers, I have no executive power here. I'm not going to really say anything or do anything about this. If we play with this for a while and maybe it gets picked up, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But I'm not going to be the one who is going to pull the trigger on this, because we're talking general language now, not just specifically our own company's activities. But what about that show and tell thing that I mentioned? Has somebody followed up on that? Did you take my hint there and find the prints? Nice work, nice blade, good wood. This is pleasant work today. Ay, ay, ay. Just a few minutes before the stream opened this morning, about 7:55, I was standing up there putting the pencil in the light up there, and the door opened, and Chonsan came in, our other carver here, one of our other carvers here, and he's delivering the blocks. He's bringing the blocks this morning for the 4th print in the series, the one that's going to be issued just before this one that I'm doing now. So Sugu-san's upstairs today. She's printing the owl, and her next job will be, together with Ishikawa-san, her next job will be test printing on the 4th print. And in fact, they really wanted actually to start doing it last week, but Chon-san hadn't got the blocks quite ready yet. So he's a tiny bit late, and because of that, she's moved on to the next job already. But it's okay. But anyway, the point I was about to say, he's brought the blocks today, and that means the carving of this calligraphy. He's carved the same calligraphy that I'm carving here on that block set that he brought in under his arm this morning. So as soon as I'm finished here, when he's gone today, I'm going to get up there and have a look at those blocks. Because it's going to be a fun journey all the way through the year here. He and I are carving this thing, and I'm now trying to do this as really nicely as I can, knowing that he is watching. You know, we're comparing each other's work here. And he's just delivered number 4 just at the same day that I'm carving number 5, so it's okay. I don't know that there's going to be any visible difference. You know, at the level we're working here now, you know, we're getting pretty close to you know, those quote original lines. But and what's left now is just the unavoidable difference in personalities. You know. And I've got one slight advantage with this scope. I can see quite carefully down here, but he's got the other advantage of youth, of course. He's half my age. On the way to school, kind of. Hey. That couple, the man and his son, they usually walk on the other side of the street. Don't know why they're over here today. So John's on us. The clue is 21 original Hiroshige prints from the 1980s. That's exactly it. These are original Hiroshige woodblock prints. They're in Tanzaku form, if that's something else to help search. Published first, and I don't know the exact year. I came here first on a trip in 1980-81, and I came here again in 83-84. Then I moved here in 86. And these prints were published around the time of my first or second trip here. I didn't know about them at that time. We have a set now. Have we learned this is a good way to keep John quiet? Give him a challenge like this. I really don't, whatever, we'll leave it like it is. So. This one here, what kind of corner? Is it kind of a square corner or a rounded corner? How much? That's where the brush came down and around. So it's a brush changes direction, and these corners. Now the version I've got here is pretty heavily pixelated. You can see it. But if you squint, this corner here, how square is it? You know, you can almost think of it as like a 95-degree corner, or it's a curve. This part of it too, does this cut back or is that square? I don't have the resolution here, just the mood. I think this cuts back in a bit. This is out a bit. So instead of taking the knife around this corner, I've come out one way and I'm just going to slice into it from here. And that leaves an angle. What's going on here? You're talking about emotes. Good, good, good. As long as you're busy. You're talking about emotes, emotions, nay. Quiet carving day. Rain on the pavement. Chat gets emotional. This one's tough, the corner inside here. This is tough. This is okay, this is a sharp angle, but this one is not. I also see here something else I just missed, and with this one, sort of go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Look at this one. It's got this little tail. That was the end of that brush stroke. And as it came up here, the outside of this thing and the inside have a different shape. Look at this. The outside is definitely cut in. It's not just this triangle. The outside swept in. I didn't get that It's here. I think we're okay. We'll find out at test printing time. Okay, let's go around some of these curves now. Oh, you guys speaking about Bob Ross again. Did anybody see the new Bob Ross video the other day? Or have you been talking about it already? There's a new, quote unquote, new Bob Ross video. Maybe you've already been talking about this. I'm sorry, I don't really know. I know maybe that's why you're talking about Bob Ross. I don't know. Ah, no, because I didn't share it. Share it. Have you got the link? Do you want me to find it? I was chatting with the mods here the other day, and I shared with them a link to a brand new Bob Ross video. When I say new Bob Ross video, someone has done a mashup, is that the word? Not just someone. Is that it, Karen? Thank you very much. Whatever. I have no dog in the fight. The man we know as Bob Ross was clearly a real nice guy, a cool guy. There may be some overlap in our personalities, a bit not. I don't know. No, whatever. I have no problem with the comparisons. He was clearly a really nice guy, I think. We're not, the same. It doesn't matter, And I get the idea why the comparison is made all the time, and I have no problem with it. It's okay. But the video mashup that came out the other day was just I was just laughing off my chair, quite sure if I got that one right, but we'll see. These are tough, you know. There's really so much nuance in here. Quite a bit of it I might be missing, you know. Like this stroke comes down here. There's actually a little, I don't know, what do you call it? A little concave area here before it goes around the corner, you know. I'm not so sure if I can catch that yet. So some of this will clearly be saving for test printing. We'll do test print first. My knife just came down here and swooped off the end, and it's not. It's concave here and concave here. There's lots of brush movement here. But how much of these I'm catching, I'm really not sure. You can see now why we did this the other day, why I took away the waste wood first. There's no way I could come around these corners if the waste wood was still in the way. So we talked about this the other day, shaving these instead of cutting these. Absolutely, there's no other way to do it. Now this one's a decision, because is this part of the taste of the calligraphy or is this a bit of an error? There's a wobble on this beautiful character, he, so B. It's he with a 10-10, which makes it B. And I'm thinking this part is perhaps not really so much intentional. So I don't know. I think it looks a bit ugly here, this bend inside here. This looks a bit ugly. Looking good, looking good. What are the scoops? This is wood testing. This is wood testing. Not testing this wood. This wood is we're using this. I had to send the block to Kawasaki-san for print number 6 in this series. It's going to be Inoshishi, a wild boar. And this would be, was it Friday? Me and Chon-san and Aoyama-san. We were upstairs looking at the wood storage here. And we've sort of come down to the bottom. For the past few months, it's been, maybe the last time we had some wood made, Aoyama-san made some, it would have been 3-4 months ago. And over the past 3 or 4 months, Chon-san and I, whenever we go upstairs to start to grab a block, start a new print, and we cherry pick. Absolutely, we pick the best block we possibly can. When I went up to get this one a few months ago, I looked at this, and thought I was going to pick the hardest one. Chon-san did the same. On Friday, when we went up to the wood section there, I had to hunch it down and send it to Kawasaki-san. On Friday, I had trouble finding a good hard one. So the 3 of us were huddling up there. What about this? What about this? What about this? And Aoyama says, this one's fine, it's good, it's better than what you're using right now. And I'm like, no, it isn't. And we brought it down here, and I got my chisel just like this. And I said, look, Aoyama-san, here, this is a part of the wood we're not going to use. Feel this resistance. And he grabbed the chisel and he tried it right here. Okay, now try this other block you're showing me. Soup, soup, soup. It was like jelly. So what he thought was a hard block, no, going by the standard of this one. So we're back upstairs looking in there, and the block we finally found for wasn't as hard as this one. And it really drove home to him now that he thought we had enough blocks for 6 months. We didn't. So he spent the rest of Friday and most of Saturday gluing, pasting, making up the next batch of blank blocks for us. And I've been pushing him to do this for a while because we have to do this before the warm weather comes. We have to glue these things up, prepare these in as dry an environment as possible. We've learned this over the years. If we, we're working with thin strips of cherry here, pasted on, glued heavily onto a laminated core. And if we did this in the rainy season, the thin slabs of cherry, they're full of moisture, they expand. You paste them on your core. Come the next winter, they dry, they want to shrink. They can't shrink because they're glued down, so they shrink in little bits, and you end up splitting the thing. So we've got to do this gluing job for the most part when the wood is as dry as possible, which means winter here in Japan. October, November, December, January, February. Ideally, not when it's raining. So he did a bunch of those over the weekend, blocks that are going to supply us now for the next few months. So anyway, that's what the little scoop marks were. We're not testing this block because I'm already up and running on it, but I was showing Aoyama-san, here's how this block feels. This is a nice hard one. He scooped and scooped and scooped here, and then we compared against one of the other pieces of wood, some of the other pieces of wood upstairs. We have real trouble finding wood for key blocks. It's got to be, iron hard almost in some cases. The level of detail, not so much, this calligraphy is not so much detail, but later on, when I'm going to be carving these puppy noses, that's detail. Look at this, under one of my finger there's dozens of hair strokes. This wood has got to be dense. Part of that discussion the other day about testing the wood, and it's easy for me to sit here and do this because I know what portions of these blocks we will be using and what portions will be cut away. But Aoyama-san, when he's up there pasting all these things down, gluing, I shouldn't say paste, gluing these things together, he wants to sort of dig in and test a little bit, but he doesn't know what part of the surface is going to be used. In my case, I know already our image is coming here. I will be carving this line, and I know that anything outside of that line won't be used. This line is just to show the edge of the paper. So I know, Dave knows clearly, that this area is all completely going to be cut away later on. But he doesn't know that when he's preparing upstairs. He's preparing these blank pieces of wood, and his job is to get them as clean and as flat as possible. So he asked me yesterday, look, the prints, the blocks for this year's series, can you give me a hint what area you're going to be using? So I told him, anywhere on the outside, he's got the measurements now. He knows the outside 15 millimeters or so are safe, with the exception of the two places where we're going to put the registration marks. So he drew himself a little map there, and he knows now that he can test them in some safe areas. So maybe when I get the block for the next print, it will have some digs and chips in it, but if he's done it carefully, it'll be in an area that I don't need. So. That was frustrating. Years ago when I was ordering wood from a specialized craftsman, Shimano-san, Hangi Shokunin, the craftsman who prepared the hangi for us. He, of course, gets the order from the carver or the publisher for a piece of wood of a certain size, maybe an oban print or whatever. And he goes to his stock of lumber and tries to find a perfect piece of wood. Now, there are no perfect pieces of wood. But lots of times he would find, for example, a piece of wood and there's one knot in the middle of it. Now, while he's preparing the woodblock, he has no idea what the end user is going to be using this for. Maybe the end user is going to carve something like this and only use part of that block. And there's an area here, a big wide area, where that knot could come and it wouldn't hurt. But he doesn't know that. And in the years when I was doing that, ordering from him, I tried to get a communication going, saying, look, you know, a lot of the prints I'm carving, back in the era when I was carving those poets' prints, there was a huge amount of empty space in each one. So I tried to say, look, what if we do this? What if I send you a rough image of the one I'm going to be carving next month, and you can see this, and then if there's a piece of wood with a knot in it, you'll know that it's actually okay. And he resisted this idea. No, it's okay, it's okay. My job is to send you good wood, I'll send you good wood, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm trying to make this easier for everybody, but it didn't fly. But here inside the company, we do this all the time. Aoyama-san, when he's choosing his pieces of wood for this, I mean, you've seen this on this bench. You've seen me using a piece of wood that may have a huge knot in it, but we have worked it out. We know what picture we are going to use that block for. So making your own supplies here, it has that advantage. We have much more flexibility on this stuff. Same thing here. How much of a corner? How are the logs on the roof? I don't know. That's still way too soon. That stuff up there, we won't even be looking at that till next fall, I guess. I don't remember, Karen. Aoyama-san's got a big chart down on his own bench. We've got log chunks. We've got sliced log chunks. We've got chunks that are now sliced into 5 millimeters. We've got them in 3 stages, Nate. Big, medium, and sliced. Should have left the leaves on it. I don't know if I believe that stuff, you know. I don't know. Just in practical sense, that story, I don't know. Tree, leaves on, branches on. Tree, cut down, leave X months while the leaves draw out moisture from the tree. I don't think that's how it works. Those leaves are going to die. So day 1, day 2, maybe they're still sucking a little bit of water, but there's no way the leaves, within the few days before they die, are going to be able to dry out that wood. I don't know if I believe that story. Color me skeptical on that one. I don't know. I don't have any data. I'm not going to say it didn't happen. It seems to be a thing, but I don't know. It strongly sounds like a story that sort of has been evolved in its telling. But I don't know. Who am I to talk about that? Building castles. I don't know. Color me skeptical. Sorry. So I'm going to make an executive decision here. I'm going to come across that dimple. I'm not going to carve that wobble in this line. We'll see. John's probably going to carve it because he's more of a straight guy than I am. So we'll see. So there might be some differences here in his carving and my carving. These are executive decisions. It's not competence or incompetence. We'll see. It'll be interesting to compare what he did and what I did there. How's our time? Still okay? No problem, no problem, no problem. Is that the Ocean Woody truck? Yes, indeed. And the guy who turns his motor off. So. Well, how to measure, I know I'm not involved with the entire conversation here, I'm sorry, I'll read it later. How to measure the moisture. We do actually have a moisture meter here. I don't really know how accurate it is, but it does work. We were using it the other day when we were trying to decide which wood to paste down. We've got a moisture meter, a very simple casual one. It's a piece of plastic with a little digital readout, and it's got 4 metal points that stick out at one end. You fire up the battery, turn it on, wait for it to settle. And then you take the thing and you stick it into the wood, and the 4 points go down into the wood about, well, depending on how hard the wood is. It says try and get them in there about 1 millimeter or so. So we stick it in, wait for it to do its thing, and it reads a number. Just a number. In the case of some of the stuff we were looking at, one of our boards, it said 0.1. And this theoretically, and I'm not sure what it really means, is 0.01%. As in, water would be 100% complete conduction between the poles. Anyway, whatever. So the point being, you can compare one piece of wood with another. Even though the number itself may not mean anything, you can compare 2 pieces of wood. So we then did. We got another piece of wood that had just been opened up from the middle, stuck it in, and it was 0.3. So that one seemed to have 3 times more moisture, or that the reading was 3 times more. So I don't know what the absolute numbers meant on the meter, but it did allow us to compare which one of these 2 pieces is quote unquote drier. I forget the word for it. To measure moisture in a piece of wood, it wouldn't be a hygrometer. What would it be? I don't know. What we don't have is a hardness meter, a density meter. I guess there is such a thing. But it's quite an involved thing. It's a press with steel balls, and you put your wood in and you pull the handle a certain amount, and how far down the steel balls press into the wood and stuff like that. And part of the problem is it's fairly destructive. We want to try and measure our little pieces of wood without actually smacking them up too much. So this is how we do ours. We just simply find an area that we know we're not going to need, and we chop away at it. So talk about destructive. Basically, we can tell, what we want is density. So any given piece, we pick it up. Ooh, that's heavy. We know we're on the right track. And our problem is that when we're buying the lumber, when we're buying the pieces of tree out in the marketplace, we have no way to measure the density at that point. And it's not even an absolute throughout any given chunk of tree. The density down towards the base of the tree is higher. So for key blocks, we would want pieces of wood sliced from that area near the base when the tree is thick and heavy and dense. But we can't tell when it's out in the field. Man, we've bought some awful pieces of wood. They looked so good in the lumber store. Get them back, dry them out, wait 2 years, 3 years. We've got one we opened up last year. And it turned out to be this spongy, ridiculous stuff that wouldn't even take lines. There is a guy in Tokyo, Seo-san, he knows about this stuff. His family's been doing it for literally generations. he won't sell to us. That was nice. The ringing, yeah, the dry pieces, we've got the ones that are almost ready now to be pasted on. At that point, it's like the violin sounding board. You're picking them up and tap, 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 and you can hear. But that's not, that really still isn't our final determination, because some of the wood that is really too light for us, like the violin sounding board, it's not very heavy, dense wood. Oh, domo.
100倍なんですよね。
ああ、そうですか。
はい。
はい。
いけます。
This guy wants money. Just a minute. はい。いいよ。いくらですか。
ちょっと待ってください。870円。
はい。
はい。
レジにあるかな。最近客ないですから。ちょっと待って。よいしょ。今放送中です。そう、今海外向きの販売です。あ、海外向きの放送。ここに、ここまで来てください。
ここまで。
口をそのままよ。見えますか、このカメラ。今500人が今見てるよ。みんなが何このパッケージに何が入ってますか。ごめん、いくら
870円です。
はい、じゃあここまでですね。はい。いや、どうぞここで。800と。いいですか。
はい。はい、70円ちょうどで。はい、両手とこれここに。
ありがとうございます。
はい、OK なんで。じゃあ、
ここオークショングッズですね。
配信頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございました。Fogged up glasses, God. My accent is so cute. My accent is grotesque. My God, my accent is grotesque. At my age now, I don't think there's really much chance of solving it, but it can't be helped. So, Blonde 22, is your Japanese okay, or are you Japanese? No, why won't he sell to us? It's interesting. I know we have an issue with the guy, whatever, it's not going to happen. Part of the thing is he has changed his business model. He used to be the single guy who supplied the cherry to all the Hangi shokunin in eastern Japan. Back when it was a business, back when there were 3 or 4 workshops doing the block planing, he was getting the wood from the mountains, choosing good wood, knowing how to do the whole thing. That was their main business, supplying cherry wood to all the different block planers who were supplying all the different carvers. This is post-war, before I came to Japan. It was a flourishing business. There was a supply chain from the mountains right through to the wholesalers, right through to this guy, Seo-san, then through to the block planers out to the carvers. Business goes down, 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 down. Less people buying prints, less people making prints. You know how it is, down, 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 down. At some point, there wasn't enough stuff flowing through here for his business to survive. So, and this goes back at maybe, I don't even know, 20, you name it, 20, 30 years. They started doing an other kind of business. They started supplying wide boards, keyaki and stuff, for people doing like sushi counters and things like this. And their business now has totally transformed. Now that the bottom has totally fallen out of it, we're going back, say, 5, 10 years, when there's no demand for cherry wood at all. His business model was adapt or die, and they switched mostly to things like keyaki or large wood for, as I said, for bars and restaurants and furniture. And that left him now with just a little dribble of cherry coming through. And he's got two kinds of customers for that cherry. He's got the people in the Kumeyaay, the what do you call it, the guild that still exists here. I'm nominally a member of that, but I'm not really a member. And they still are making prints. Adachi is still making prints. So there's a dribble of business for him. But he's not getting anywhere near the supply from the mountains anymore because there's so little business. So he feels he doesn't have enough to supply the new demand. People like me who are new in town demanding this stuff. I'm the new kid in town. And his business has adapted just to have enough volume to supply his old steady customers from generations ago. And one of those carvers in the Kumeyaay simply told this guy, look, I've heard David's looking for wood. Just, you remember who your friends are. Remember who your old customers are. And this guy does. Seo-san remembers well who his customers for generations have been. And that's the customers he's supplying. And I'm the new kid, so we've given up now. We just gave up. We went over there so many times. We stood there in the middle of his warehouse, in the middle of some beautiful boards. And he's like, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any. No, I don't have any. Can't help you. So that's the way it is. So that's why we're on our own. That's why we ourselves go up. Aoyama-san last year, he went to Iwate to meet this guy up in the mountains. It looked like he had some good cherry. We're on our own. And I get this. I'm not even sort of upset about this. Anybody would do this. They prioritize the customers they've been working with for generations, as opposed to some new guy who thinks he's the hot shot. Of course you prioritize your regular customers. And where Dave is sitting here thinking, look, it's a new boom. Come on, get up there, get some more suppliers, buy more of this wood. He doesn't see that. He doesn't think it's going to happen. He's changed his model. He's now a furniture supplier. He's not interested in going backwards. He doesn't think it's true that it's going to come alive again. Keep track of where I have so many curves here. I get the wrong one. That goes up here. We're now at this corner. So that has a sharp corner. Let's try to cut that. It is frustrating. If I had been doing this, if I'd started the publishing thing maybe, say, 10 years earlier, at the time I finished the Poet series, if I had opened Mokuhankan at that time, back in 1990, there would have still been a chance. The supply chain was still there. But I waited too long. I didn't know. I didn't know. I waited too long. Speaking about waited too long, too, it was So somebody's saying hindsight is such a wonderful thing. There was a comment came on one of my YouTube videos over the weekend. This was funny. I hadn't remembered this, but it turned out that in the YouTube video where we announced the Yokai Face-Off series, this would have been 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't remember. In the video announcing that series, I had said, we got a new series, blah, 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 blah. And also, by the way, something new this year, we are now ready to accept payments. We've set up our website. You can subscribe to the thing and pay in Bitcoin if you like. I had made this as a sort of a comment at the end of that video, because this was the thing. I'd opened up a Bitcoin wallet. We'd prepared software for it. And we started accepting Bitcoin for our subscriptions. Okay, no problem. That rolled along for a couple of years. We did. We took Bitcoin in the shop upstairs for a couple of years until the bottom fell out. Bitcoin at some point, and this is maybe 3 years ago, we had to stop taking it because it became too volatile, and also because the transaction time became like, it was at some point, it was like 10, 12, 15 minutes to get a transaction made, which meant we couldn't use it in the shop because we do the beep, 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 and the guy's got to stand there for 15 minutes while the transaction goes through before he can walk away with the prints. So we stopped at that point taking Bitcoin. It's history for us. We don't do it anymore at all. It's no longer a practical currency, a practical thing for selling woodblock prints. But anyway, long story short, the guy had seen my comment on the video there that we are now taking Bitcoin. This was a 5-year-old comment. And he thought, this is interesting, he thought Dave was taking Bitcoin. He isn't anymore. He probably took a bunch of Bitcoin, he's forgotten about it, and he's sitting on a fortune. That Dave is not quite technologically hip enough to do this. So sensible comment, he typed in this comment into the thing, said, Dave, do you understand that maybe if you've got some Bitcoin left over from those years you were doing it, you maybe should look into this. So, and okay, so I had to reply to him that in the days we were taking Bitcoin, we weren't doing it for investment. I had rent to pay, staff to pay. If we're making prints, I got to pay for the staff to make the prints. So when a customer bought the prints in Bitcoin, at the end of every couple of days or weeks, with my wallet, I just sold the Bitcoin, bought yen, which I used to pay the staff. I couldn't sit on the Bitcoin for investment. It was part of our monthly, weekly, daily cash flow. But after replying to him there, I thought I could just, wait a minute, okay, why don't you do this? And I opened up my old wallet, my Bitcoin wallet, which has, right now, it's got a few dust grains inside it. And I added up how much I had taken and sold and taken and sold. And one of the transactions there is I accepted Bitcoins here and there, and I sold 10 Bitcoins and did it in monthly yen, again, to pay the monthly rent, And of course, I look at that now and thought, look at that, there's the transaction, Dave just sold 10 Bitcoins and he got enough money to pay the rent for 1 month. And I thought, 10 Bitcoins. So I Googled it yesterday, if I had 10 Bitcoins. Whatever, hindsight, Hindsight. But it's not just me. Think about the other part of the equation. Those people bought some of our prints with Bitcoin. So you've now got people out there with some of our subscription prints, which we sell for 5,000 yen. And they've got a subscription print which maybe they paid with half a Bitcoin or something. I don't remember the numbers. So how do you feel now? You've got that little print on your shelf that you paid for with 0.5 of a Bitcoin, which is, like $300,000 or something. So hindsight, forget it. You can't start crying about that, If I was the kind of person who would be doing all that investing and challenging and trying to get money for nothing and all that kind of stuff, that's not me. We make our money here through productive endeavor. We make stuff, we build stuff, we add value to society. The idea that Dave would sit there thinking, wow, I can hold this and I'll get something for nothing, that's just not me. Dumb, whatever. I should have done it differently, yeah, whatever. But it isn't me. It couldn't have been the guy you see here. He could not have done that. If I had been the kind of person who would have done that, you wouldn't be here today watching this, because it wouldn't be me. We are who we are. And now it just makes a funny story, Looking at that wallet transaction, 10 Bitcoin, and I got 50,000 yen or something for it. It's okay. You can make the same argument. The same thing's happening again. We chatted about this last week with NFTs, If our goal here was to get tons of money, jump on NFTs, start something up and see what happens, But not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Now these two, this is another decision here. These two, the dots, the 10-10 as we call it in Japanese, this one's malformed. There's no way there would be a bump on the side of that. The brush would come in here, the brush would come thump, thump, from the left pull, left pull. So this blob is careless, and I am thinking I am going to get rid of this blob here. This looks ugly. I think also that's part of a carver's job. We are not blind robots here, just carving, leaving black, taking away white. It's part of our job here to carve attractive calligraphy, to carve attractive images. And the guy with the brush, the person who did this brushing, is no perfect Superman. And in the old days, for sure, Hiroshige would have, done his brushing with the assumption that the funny bits are going to be cleaned up by the people down the line. Step one, Hiroshige does his sketches and drawings, and before it even gets to the carver, it's going to be traced and replicated. Funny, strange bits are going to be cleaned up and sorted out. So that is the carver's job too. You're not a robot here. And when the day comes when all this is going to be done by lasers, that's going to be a really interesting thing to work out. Because a laser carving, cutting, whatever word we're supposed to use for this, that will be, by definition, robotic. At least until the AI really takes over. And then the laser's got to make up its mind. The software's got to make up its mind. What is that curve supposed to look like? So at that end of it, there's still an edge here for the human carvers as opposed to the laser cutters. We still at this point have an edge over this. Okay, I think we have cut this thing up. I think the inside is chopped. I can't print it to you and test it right now. Of course, I can't put ink on this yet because we still got lots more work to do. But first stage of the calligraphy is now cut. And almost for sure, well, not almost for sure, certainly there's going to be trimming necessary here and there. Like I can see even right here, this line, this bottom part doesn't quite match the top part. But I can't see most of those until we do test printing. This corner here too looks a bit funny, but I shouldn't play with it. That's first draft, first pass. And after our test printing, we'll be back to do some more. Okay, that's the inside. Let's get the outside done. We're still okay for time, right? What time is it? 9:10. Yeah, a few more minutes here. Stebori first, the throwaway cut first on the outside. I don't know what that package was that was delivered. It's chaku barai, pay cash on delivery, not cash for the goods, but cash for the shipping charges. So it must be something we got on Yahoo Auctions last week, but I don't remember exactly what it is. I won't open it this morning because we've got something nice worked out for today's show and tell anyway. So There's also too, and I can say this, it's kind of a tease, I guess. Last night, because it was Sunday night, we've talked about this before, a great many people organize their Yahoo auctions. These are people who have day jobs and stuff. So they do their auction planning and auction setups and stuff in the evening. And most auctions on the Yahoo system are designed so that the auction finishes during the evening hours, between 8, 9, and 10 o'clock is sort of prime time here. Anybody who sets an auction up that finishes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is probably not going to get such a successful result with it, because most people are not going to be able to sit there and muck with their computers and do bidding and stuff at that time of day. So far and away, most auctions here end in the middle evening, 8, 9, 10, and Sunday is peak day. Huge numbers of people do their organizing over the weekend, do their uploading, and start the thing on Sunday evening with a 7-day cycle set. So far and away more auctions finish Sunday evening than any other day of the week. And so it was last night. I made a bunch of bids. I lost a whole bunch last night. Prices are just going way more expensive. And one of the things that came up last night, well, I can tell you in the story, I got it so that I did get it, but I really did not expect to get it. I saw this and thought, this is going to be so popular. No way can I make the investment in this. It was something I did want for our collection, but simply we don't have, infinite cash for this. I wasn't able to. Thought I wouldn't be able to get it. The money we pay for the collection items doesn't come from Mokohankan revenue. It comes from Dave's salary. The collection is actually still my personal little project here. We don't use Patreon money for it. We don't use Mokohankan revenue for it. The only buying we do for the collection, for collecting things, is from my salary. If we're buying something on the auctions that's going to be resold in the flea market, then yeah, the company pays for it, of course. It's just buying used items and we sell used items. But stuff for the collection comes from my own personal revenue. And I'm not very well paid here, so I don't have a whole lot of money to throw around on it. So the thing that came up last night, I thought, oh, I would so like that for the collection. But no way am I going to be able to afford that. And lo and behold, it turned out that not too many people, only 2 other people were interested. And they both dropped out quite early. So we'll see this. This is something, I'm not teasing you, we'll see it next week. There's an item that we picked up last night that I will be showing you, eagerly showing you next week. So. And I really did not expect to get it. And the other thing about it is that it was an item with a bunch of doubles, which means it may be doing both. There will be some things we keep for the collection and perhaps some stuff that will go into the flea market. We'll see. Oh, it's time. I see Black shouting here. Okay. Hey. I see shouting. Okay. Keep your shirts on. Keep your shirts on. Counting down. What is this? 1 minute until show and tell. Okay, here's the set. Keep your shirts on, blow your socks off. This is not really sock blowing material today. That was last week. That was funny. We have a link here. We have a link. I will link to a dealer who has a set of these prints for sale, or had. It might be a dead web page. I can't really tell. That's the set of prints we're talking about. The story is this. A woodblock print researcher, Mr. Robert Soares, he may still be alive, he may be dead. He's my parents' generation. He's older than me. Through the 70s and 80s, I think he was working in a museum or something, gallery somewhere in London, and came across in one of the museums and galleries there a set of what we call hanshta, tracings, drawings for woodblock prints. Normally, those of you who've been involved with these stories before, you know what happens. The hanshta for woodblock prints are destroyed as part of making the print. You paste the drawing down on a piece of wood, it gets destroyed, and that's the end of it. Some of the museums, in some cases, have leftover hanshta that didn't get made into woodblock prints. And this is one such set. It's quite well known. Mr. Sowers came across these hanshita either in the place where he worked or he bought them or something. I don't know the backstory to that. This was the early 1980s. He came over to Japan, and I don't know where he went, but the prints look and smell and feel like adachi prints. So my guess is he went to Adachi to have these things made up. And I'm sure they didn't chop the hanshita, the old tracings from Hiroshige's time. They maybe copied them, of course, traced them again, and had a set of woodblock prints made. So what we are looking at, and this is a very interesting sort of philosophical viewpoint here. This is, quote unquote, an original Hiroshige print. I'll take it out for it. In other words, there's Hiroshige's design. It was sent to cutters and printers. Cutters and printers bring it back. Hiroshige's signature is here. And exactly the same as with the old days. Hiroshige signed the tracing went onto the wood block, the signature was carved on the block. So this is, in exactly the same sense as everything else we have from the old days, an original Hiroshige print. He never touched it. He never touched the originals. So, is this an original Hiroshige print? Well, yeah. It's just not very old. People are talking about what's vibrant and saturation. It's because it's brand new. Well, it's not brand new. This would be 1980, 82 or 1983, somewhere around there. This was made in the Adachi workshop. Mr. Sowers probably took the blocks back with him back to London after the job was done. So the blocks are probably in London somewhere. And whether he's still alive or not, I have no idea. But we have a first edition Hiroshige print made in 1983. And it has the same problem of all the stuff made in Adachi during the 1960s and 70s and 80s. Some of them are nice and okay, and as you will see as we go through this, some of them are grotesquely, heavily foxed. And it's not so much the packaging paper that's foxed. Let's have a look at this just a minute. The print, if I can find a bad one here. Here, let's have a look at this. Let's skip down for a minute. Number 11. And this is so common in packaging from this era. There's been a reaction between the paper and or pigments and the packaging paper. So looking at this, it looks like the trouble has not come from the packaging paper, which is not foxed at all. The packaging paper is foxed in the area where it contacts the print. And behind the print as well, the packaging paper has become foxed. The print itself doesn't seem to be foxed. And we see this all the time in the packaging from the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. You tell me what's going on. I don't know. Lots of oil used on the back of these things from the Baron, but the dotting matches the colors, but doesn't match anything else. There's no dotting where there was blue. There is dotting where there was yellow. That's a bit of a hint, because sometimes in the yellow they're using a sulfur is present, and maybe the sulfur reacts with the oil in the Baron to produce some kind of reaction with the paper. No idea. It's beyond my chemical knowledge here. And if this was Adachi, and if it was 1960s, then they're using sekio, and that yellow is a combination of sulfur and arsenic, 50-50. So it's in the greens as well, because they're using yellow to mix the green. It's not in the blue. That would be a pure blue pigment. That might be, this is Prussian blue. I'm not sure what that one is. So if I was going to put my layman's guess on the table here, I'm thinking this is something to do with a sulfur arsenic compound reacting with the oil in the Baron to result in this marking. And because I just picked up this from my Ome workshop the other day, and of course for me, I am now going to get these out of here. That's why I separated these. Last night, I took these prints out of the folders, and this afternoon, as soon as I get off this stream, these are going to go in safe packaging. I'm not going to throw away the packaging, but we are going to keep the prints and the packaging separately. So let's skip through a bunch of these. It's funny too, Mr. Sowers did this as a limited edition. And we have here, we have set number 3 out of 250. And all the prints are numbered, and all the packaging is also numbered the same way. I don't quite know how I ended up with set number 3. Is it more valuable? Numbers, wow! They're interesting. The carving is really, hard. Whether this was an executive decision by the publisher or by Adachi, I don't know. But the carving is really hard. What can I say? They've printed them jet black, which wouldn't have been done that way in Hiroshige's era. It would have been printed with a slightly more toned down black. This gives it a real 1980s feel, 1980s mood. For me, this is an interesting product. If I had been doing it myself, reproducing those old Hanshita, I think I would have done it a little bit different. These guys have done it sharp, clean, perfect. This is one reason why it makes me think it was done at Adachi, because that's Adachi's business philosophy. Try and make the prints look bright, sharp, clean, bold. They're going by the theory that that's what the stuff looked like back in the old days. Takamizawa did it differently, and Dave does it differently in a different way. But here's some more. And you can see it's specific to the colors where the foxing has appeared. Look at this, behind the print and in front of the print. So we can't blame the packaging paper for this. The packaging paper where it wasn't in contact with the print seems clean. That's where the black was, very heavy rubbing. Oil, you can even see traces of oil on the back. And that's where the main specks are. I'm not sure the story. It's excuse me, Sugawara, one of the what do you call them? Counselors at the court. This is before Tokugawa era. These stories are supposed to be happening long before the Tokugawa era, and this was a story that it became big. Not so much in kabuki. I think it became a big story in bunraku, I believe. So the prints you're seeing are from this story as it was told in the bunraku theater. Although obviously we've got a kabuki sort of ethic here. This was drawn in the 1860s or so. I'm going to skip forward because there's lots. There's 21 of these things here. They're not all of the same story. If somebody followed through the link I gave here, the first 9 of these are the same story about Sugiwara Michizane. I read about this one. The guy had 3 sons, triplets. The guy had 3 sons, triplets, and these are the 3 wives of his 3 sons coming to a ceremonial visit of something. There's lots and lots of story behind it. I don't know all the details. Oops, sorry about that. Excuse me. That's one tight zoom on this camera, difficult to control. It's episodes in the guy's life. No, it's a set of scenes that are episodes in his life. Oh, so somebody is referring to the, you got the Dejner page. Yeah, good. Thank you. Soka. I think it was an ox, the last one. If you're looking at bull, I think it was an ox. Soka, just somebody's linking to these pages. Good, thank you very much. Thank you. Tempaizan. Some of this, I know the shop that did this, you're linking to that page, degener.com, whatever. They had some ability to read Japanese and they had some ability not to read Japanese. So some of those transliterations are wrong there. They're wrong. Here, this one right here. It says, what does it say? Tero Koya. That's wrong. This is Tera Goya. Tera, temple. Goya, small room inside the temple. That's the name for the schoolrooms that temples used to have. It's Tera Goya. So he has just tried to read these, and he's got some of them right and some of them wrong. So yeah, schoolhouse it is, schoolroom scene it is, but the transliteration there is wrong. Google Translate, whatever. Soka. I'm not sure why the face should be so blue. Don't know. Okay, that's the end of that first group. The next group we have now are scenes. They're travel scenes. They've moved on. Oh, something else to mention too. Important. The designs that they found, the old Hiroshige designs that they found, were not one by one. All of the prints we're looking at today here, all of these, let me get the next one. They were all on single sheets in groups of 3. These were uncut triptychs. So I don't know the actual order here. The tracings that were found were in this form. They were 3 tracings side by side like this. So they would have been cut, they were designed to be cut onto one block, printed together, that gradation, shum, printed together, then sliced apart and sold to people. Now, when this set was made by Mr. Sowers and Adachi, who I think it's Adachi, whether they did them that way or whether they made them one by one, I don't know. No, I do know. Look at this. Get your magnifying glasses out, Sherlocks. Look at this. When we put these ones side by side, we see there's a trace of blue. Do you see it? This isn't the same pair that was made side by side, but there it is. There's a trace of blue. He has chopped one off. So yes, they did do it that way. They printed them 1, 2, 3, and then sliced them after making. And it doesn't matter about this. The internal, it's just coincidence. It's yellow and yellow. It didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. Look at this one. This is green. You've got your color areas. The printer working in this doesn't even know or care that they're going to be split up later on. There's a green block for this zone. There's a blue block for that zone. It doesn't matter because they're on different pieces of wood. It doesn't matter that the C is here, you're going to bump into it with the green. No, the green block is just carved here and here and here. The printer doesn't know or care. But the tracings they had left over from Hiroshige were in 3 groups of 3. That's why we have 21 prints here. The ones we just showed you about the counselor, Sugawara, they were in groups of 3. There was 9 of them, 3, 3, and 3. And now we have landscapes, 3, 3, and 3. So there were 7 woodblock prints involved here. More, another one. Look at this. More foxing in the internal folder. Look at this one too. This is interesting. This one has foxing where there is no pigment. So it's not just simply this thing about the arsenic. There's more to it than that. Look at this one. I've taken the print out, but the marks are, the print was right there. We slide it across. So we have heavy foxing behind the open paper area. No foxing where the blue pigment perhaps protected it. And then we have more foxing here as the blue became lighter. And this one also, the paper here now is also foxed. This has foxing in the print itself. There's no single formula that lets you say, I see it's that green pigment that's causing it. It doesn't work like that. So from the front of the print onto the backing sheet, and from the back of the print onto the backing sheet, and an unprinted area. No idea, no idea. We're going to keep all this stuff. We keep the packaging. I'm not going to throw it away. We keep it ready for analysis by someone that has the ability to analyze it. This one would seem to say there's something in the washi itself. The previous one seemed to be something in the pigment itself. We don't see it with the blue. The blue seems to protect from that. I don't know. Same again with this one, even worse. The brown here seemed to be protective. There's not so much in the brown area. It's heavy in the area where there, but also now this is heavy where the black was printed. Down here, where we have blue, there's almost none in the back. The blue protects from it. And it's 1, 2, 3. If they were printed on groups of 3, this next one should have it. It's got some, but not much. No idea. Let's get through these. Next is number 16. Is somebody following along with this? Is it John? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do we need 21 chocolate eggs? I don't know, whatever. Throw some eggs out. Thank you very much for doing this. Seven sheets to the wind. It's 3 sheets to the wind is the expression to show. It's a sailor's expression. And again, foxing, but in a totally different pattern. Strong single dots. Oh, this is Futami ga Ura. I can read some of these. Issei Futami ga Ura. Travel scenes. How good was he at horses? Who knows? Let's have a look. Bit of a dorky horse. Sorry, Hiroshige. But then again, would you be happy if you were doing this? No idea. There's a research project for somebody waiting to be done, you know. Horses and cats and dogs depicted in ukiyo-e. There's a wonderful project waiting to be done. But the last 3 are just, I say random, they are from the genre known as kacho-e, bird and flower pictures. And Hiroshige was big on this. He was one of the most famous guys for this genre. He was good at this, good at this, good at this. And here's 3 of his kacho-e. These all actually seem like fairly exotic birds. This is not your run-of-the-mill day-to-day bird life. These are exotic birds here. What we're going to get. Oh, I mixed up the odor. Sorry, John. Oh, I mixed them up. Which one? Well, you can figure it out. That's macaw and bamboo. This is a pheasant on a cherry tree, I guess. I'll keep quiet, whatever. We know what the birds are. And this is Adachi coloring. My God, this is Adachi coloring. Bright, just blow it away. I really do not like this. I really do not like this. They are convinced that this is the way the ukiyo-e was made back in the old days. And maybe they're right. I have no leg to stand on, but I do not like it at all. Do not like it. You say they work, the blend. What I want is more of a blend between the colors. I want to see more of a palette, and I'm not seeing this here. I see colors stuck side by side. To my taste, this is unnatural. But each to his own. Each to his own. I think this set fails in this area. They did a really nice job with all the landscapes and stuff where it's sort of standard issue. You know what to do with the sea, you know what to do with the mountain, you know what to do with clothing. But these, I think they have failed. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Okay, there we have it. What's today? Today is Monday. Excuse me, we're off for a few days now. During the next couple of days, almost certainly Cameron's next video. He tells me he's getting really, really close. They're in the final stages of editing. Was that the mailbox? That's not the mailman. Oh, no, advertising flyer? Who knows? They're in the final stages of editing the video. So it could be, I'm not promising because I don't know the exact schedule, but over the next few days, the next printing video could be up on our channel. And it's Suga-san doing the whole printing all the way through one of the prints, start to finish. The print that is the third print in this year's subscription series. So that's coming to a website, a YouTube site near you in the next few days, I believe. Other than that, I'll just be getting back to work, and I will be with you again next Thursday morning my time, Wednesday evening for most of you, with the usual format, some carving / printing, and some show and tell. There's one more thing to mention about that last show and tell. The package I got includes the order form from Mr. Soros. And I doubt very much the order form is still usable. But what he says was, to buy the full set of 21 pictures, you place your order and send in a postal money order. For the full set, it's 300,000 yen. And he did what's called a bara uri. You can buy one at a time. So each one of these prints he was selling or tried to sell for 16,000 yen. And I tell you, that was a different exchange rate era too. So that 300,000 yen, back in dollars in those days, that's over $5,000. Back in the early 1980s, that's over $5,000. Whether he got that much for it or not, I don't know. What this is worth now, I don't have a clue. I don't much care. We're not going to be trying to sell it anyway. But it is a curiosity. So we will keep these, of course, with the prints. Okay, thanks very much. I'm out of here now. I'll see you again next Thursday. I'll pop up the outside scene as usual for a few minutes before we sign off. Rainy, rainy day. The shutdown in Tokyo has been extended. It was supposed to end yesterday, but it's been extended for 2 more weeks. And the shutdown simply means it's not a legal lockdown, but the time period during which they are paying restaurants not to be restaurants. So the coffee shop across the street is taking, we believe, 60,000 yen per day to keep their door closed. It's too bad because they make a nice salad. Okay, I'm out of here. Bye for now. See you on Thursday. Thanks for watching.